my mic
So
is
we
it
were
on?
like,
How do I know?
It has a green light.
Oh, okay.
It's a solid green light, I think.
Okay.
We have these new mics.
yeah, can you hear me? Rubbing against my chin.
Are we going already?
I think so.
I've got a bit.
Okay, go for it.
Now it's gonna be too much.
No, let's hear it. Now we gotta hear it.
But no, I've got a question I want to ask Luis.
Okay.
Because I think it's stupid. No,
Okay.
and he's stupid at it.
I'm out.
Luis, you shared a link the other day. Or I guess it was Steven or something, and you were like going to the link in the bio because you were interested in buying it. There was that thing where you can scroll TikTok with like a little button on your finger
Yes, yeah.
while you're watching your phone, and you can scroll with another.
Yeah.
Why?
Oh, because sometimes I brush my teeth, and I wish it would just auto flip for me. But now it's like you just get to like flickety 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 flick.
Do you find yourself getting on your phone the very moment your eyes open?
No, that's not true. I don't think so.
But by the time you're brushing your teeth.
I think when I'm logged in TikTok, now I want to flickety flick, but I'm not always on TikTok.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah.
That's good to know.
I
Ed,
think
would you do this? Would you get a separate whole thing to attach to your phone so you could scroll?
I mean,
whatever
no.
you Reddit, whatever social media you're
I
on.
mean, no. I mean, I do scroll, absolutely, but would I get a tool for it? No.
Yeah, everyone I've asked has basically said like no.
I don't.
I mean,
Well,
give it 5 years.
I mean, if I'm just like, if I'm here and I'm like eating, I'm like, kabook, kabook,
I thought it
kabook,
was like a
kabook.
little finger vibrator that you could just like.
No, well, because Sarah has this thing where she attaches this device to her Kindle.
Yeah.
And then she clicks it, and then it turns the page for her.
Yeah.
So when she's sleeping like this, she doesn't have to turn the page.
That
It just automatically click,
that
click.
I somehow understand more, and it seems more like respectable because it's like reading.
But even on
Okay. Well, TikTok
but even on
sometimes
a Kindle though, surely there must be like a little button that you just press for that. Sure, right?
But if you have to reach to press the button, that's too much. He's saying like if you're laying in bed just trying to
like she's trying
read
to go to
while
sleep.
you go to sleep.
And so she has a button that's like close to her, and it when she touches the button, it turns the page. And she's able to fall asleep a lot faster, but she likes reading going to sleep.
That I understand because think about how many PowerPoints where you're like, I just need to change the
Yeah.
slide.
You guys remember when we used to just sit in candlelight? And
I do. Yeah, lots of candlelight in Nosferatu too. That whole movie was lit by candles.
Guys, we're going to talk about Nosferatu later in this episode, in this feature discussion.
Yeah.
Robert Eggers, what is this, his fifth film? Fourth film. Second film with Universal. Miguel, how many Robert Eggers movies have
I'm Miguel
you seen?
Sanchez.
Oh, I'm Luis Gonzalez.
And I'm Ed Bull.
And we're in Ed's house.
Hey,
It's Boys' Day.
It's Boys' Day. I'm drinking an espresso with Miguel and Ed. Miguel, how many Robert Eggers films have you seen?
2. Including the one today.
Nosferatu and...
Which one do you think?
The Witch.
Yeah, I swear it. I
You
like
haven't
that.
seen The Lighthouse?
No, I never did. Everyone wants me to, and I want to. I just haven't got around to it. Same with the Northman. You guys were really pushy about the Northman that one
I
night.
think you would like Northman less.
Really?
Yes.
It's in the Lighthouse?
Yes.
Okay. Good to know. No, I've only seen 2.
Wow.
I mean, I'd love for you to see the Northman too. But...
Okay. You guys seem disappointed. I think that was pretty on par, like par for the course for Miguel.
What, for The Witch?
No, to see that many, any
2,
movies.
absolutely.
2 seems like, good job,
I
Miguel.
mean, Robert Eggers hasn't made a lot of films, but you just said it was his fourth film.
I've seen 2 out of 4.
That's pretty good.
That's half.
50%.
Come on.
Ed, how many Robert Eggers films have you
Oh,
seen?
you know, I've seen all 4. All 4.
Which one's
As
your
of
fave?
today, all 4.
Is it too early to ask?
It might be too early to ask.
Oh, we'll wait. We'll
We'll
wait.
wait.
to
I
get to
mean,
the bar.
as of now, it's always been The Witch. for
Which
me,
is pretty solid.
personally.
Funny about that, because he always complained, like, oh, The Witch, it wasn't
because he made it
perfect.
so humorless.
Yeah, he was like...
He found humor in The Lighthouse, which kind of
Mm.
spread throughout.
Oh, that's so
you know,
good.
You know who else found humor? Was the guy who did Hereditary, Ari Aster.
Ari
Oh, yeah,
Aster,
yeah, yeah.
he does.
As
have
he keeps making more movies, it becomes a lot more, like,
He
funny.
finds the humor.
funny.
Yeah,
That's good.
Like in...
like Beau is Afraid
Beau.
was like hilarious for the first hour,
Yeah.
and then other things happen, but that's a whole other conversation. But yes, and I mean you bring that up because they've had a similar career trajectory from their birth at A24 with The Witch and Hereditary coming out within a year of each other, and then they both came up with horrors the second time, The Lighthouse and Midsommar. So yeah, that's a fun comparison.
Yeah. I always pair them as like in the same class, 1000%.
Yeah. After Beau is Afraid, though, I still feel. I mean, but even before Beau is Afraid, I preferred Robert Eggers just because he does things more like in tune with my likes, like this kind of monster horror, kind of take on it, and he's kind of stuck with that. Whereas Ari Aster has definitely been more experimental, I think, in what he does. Like it's horror, but it's kind of
and Robert Eggers always sticks to like historical. Times. It's never modern or present. Like, which I feel like when you watch a Robert Eggers film, you can never predict. Like, oh man, the 1800s must have been scary as fuck.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, you just like put a shot, like you just put a camera on a tripod, and it looks scary.
Yeah, absolutely. And
like the witch, it was scary. Like you're just in the fucking woods. Like anything can happen.
They all could have been like folk tales.
Yeah,
you know, from. Up until, I mean, Nosferatu is essentially like a folk tale of Dracula. So, yeah.
Guys, we're here to talk about Nosferatu later in the episode. That was just a sneak peek, but we're going to talk about some news.
Yeah. Ed, you got the news on this one?
Fuck. Yeah, so bad news, everybody. We've been talking about it recently.
This sucks.
It does suck. So, Matt Reeves' The Batman, Part 2, has been set back yet another year.
All the way to...
October 2027.
My God.
Now, this would be at least the second or third time that it's been pushed back.
I think it's the third overall.
So, by the time this movie comes out, it would have been 5 years from the first movie.
5 years since the sequel came out, but it's like 7 years since they were filming it.
Yeah.
You know, so it's kind of a big gap.
It is a big gap, and I'm, constantly on the radar for this, if anything, just for it to get moving. And as of yet, according to James Gunn, he still hasn't turned in a finished draft of the script, or a draft of the script, I should say. And we were talking about this when we wrapped up The Penguin. It's my biggest deal is I feel he's like George R.R. Martin at this point. He's so distracted with these other projects.
Matt Reeves?
Yes.
Oh, that seems... Oh, come on. It's not,
I know
it's
it's extreme. I know it's not that bad, and I'm being dramatic.
Game of Thrones is done.
Yeah, I'm being dramatic.
And he's still not finished with that one book. That's...
But this is for me, I'm just dude, just write the fucking film and make it. Because I'm so ready for it.
Yeah.
And I feel because there have been conversations of late, especially following and I guess leading up to The Penguin, of his expanding universe.
Yeah.
Because there was another show that they were talking about doing that focused on the Gotham PD.
Oh yeah,
and stuff like that. And I'm just are we? What's the focus here? And that's the problem with movies and TV universes. Things get a little lost and a little faded, and we've seen that so many times, especially in the last decade or the last 5 years, even, of all these properties just getting
too much,
way too much,
Disney-fied
and
MCU-ified.
Yeah, Star Wars-ified. It's a lot, and granted, The Penguin worked. But I need that second movie, to justify any of its existence.
Have you heard the rumor?
No.
Have you guys?
Oh no! What's the goss?
That James Gunn and Robert Pattinson are both on the same page about Robert Pattinson's Batman becoming the Batman for the DCU.
Oh, okay.
But that Matt Reeves is the one he's holding out right now. He's no, I want to keep my separate universe. But there's talk of. They're making a Clayface movie, and there's talk of Robert Pattinson, that being Robert Pattinson's intro to the DCU as he joins that movie. And I was sitting there thinking, we talked about this about something else the other day, but it's very similar to Godzilla. Godzilla 1 is the Batman.
Yeah.
And then the DCU Batman with that same character is Godzilla versus King Kong 2.
Yeah. I mean, they did it with Tim Burton's Batman too. I mean, Tim Burton
they went places.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's it's not unheard of, and it's maybe I understand. We want it to be the Matt Reeves Batman because, the world building was so good.
That's what he started, yeah.
Yeah, but it's okay, there is the other argument to be like, well, what are we going to have 2 Batmans running around at the same time? Like, that seems too much. That seems too much, though, right?
Of course, but it's all too much. That's the thing. Is like
sir.
The fact that
talk that talk,
having those conversations. Like, of course, like one thing was going to lead to the other. I just don't want it to. You started something as a separate IP. That's fine. Keep Superman separate. Keep that as its own world. They clearly, just from the trailer alone, it just doesn't feel like the same universe. And you know that's not what Matt Reeves' intention was.
Yeah.
And I would rather that we stick with that initial idea, like, because it's a slippery slope of what we've seen in the last decade is just like, oh, well, we're just kind of exploring where this universe could go, and if we can merge these two.
Let's use the recent, few years of projects with the DCU or DCEU to DCU.
Yeah.
Like, you think, oh, this is the part that's going to move forward,
right?
And this is going to get cut, and then they all just kind of end up getting shelved, And it's like, it's clear they want to maybe incorporate some of these things, but it's just not working. And so James Gunn is leaning more and more with each project of, why don't we just like make this our thing?
Right.
Yeah.
And it's like Robert Pattinson's Batman was so successful, I could see that being the one that's like, this is kind of the cutoff. This is what we're going to bring into this universe, and we're going to make it our own. I saw a picture where someone took one of the shots of Batman, and when he's in the mayor's house in that crime scene at the beginning of the movie, that shot of him just in his suit, kind of looking towards the camera. Someone colored it to look like the Adam West Batman suit, but it's the same armor, but just like colored like Adam West. And someone was like, "This is going to be the DCU's Batman," and I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of here for it. Like it kind of worked. Like. If they needed to blend it into the Superman look that they're going with, it's like that does kind of work, but it just would look a little silly, like for what Matt Reeves was doing.
Right, exactly.
I don't know. Superman that trailer turned me into a believer. So oops, here we are.
You've got hope. Yeah. It's just like when Man of Steel came out, and the very second movie was Dawn of Justice.
Yeah,
where they started trying to cram everything in because that first one.
Right, but I don't think James Gunn is trying to cram anything in.
I don't think
he's like, we're only going to start producing projects if
the project we're talking about only rumors, what you were saying, Miguel.
Yeah, like, I'm going, the
whole Batman thing.
Yeah.
Part of me more wishes than thinks or believes that they are going to cast an alternate Batman. Mm-hmm. And he's said frequently as such, James Gunn was just like, we want to let like the Batman and the Batman Part 2 kind of like settle before we start bringing in our own Batman.
Yeah.
So maybe like his intent is still there, especially as Elseworlds. Mm-hmm. And I mean, that's all
But if you could just be like, actually, we're just gonna go ahead and streamline this. Like, I could see them wanting to do that. It's already there. It's already working. If the
pressure's on, anybody will do anything. Just look at again.
Or do you want to lose Robert Pattinson? Like, what if he's like, actually, this is too much. I just don't want to.
I mean, at this point, I'm worried too many Batmans sign off because it's too long.
Exactly. No, but if he's talking with James Gunn,
committed to this. I think he's committed to this.
I like to think so too, but goddamn, like the distance between Batman Begins and The Dark Knight was 3 years.
Yes.
Did you guys? James Gunn
went in with the plan.
This is what I want to hear.
Make the point. Make the point. Go ahead.
I think that 7 years isn't that big of a it's not that long. Like I think it feels like we want it to come sooner because we've been hearing about it every single year.
Yeah.
Like other movies, like Incredibles, first one, the second Incredibles was 14 years.
Like 14 years. Yeah.
James Gunn let out a tweet about like, hey, it's not. This isn't a unique situation.
Yeah.
Other movies have had, their sequels have come out about, years and years afterwards.
Terminator, Alien, I forget what the Incredibles was one. Mm-hmm. So it's like,
I mean, I feel like The Incredibles was a bad example purely because that was one in a great many titles of like
Avatar. He talked about Avatar though, and it's like Avatar was like
2, for sure.
That's
And we're talking about actually a lot of properties that just James Cameron has had his fingers in.
Yeah, so, I mean,
to be fair,
it's like he's like, we can take our time.
Yeah, exactly. I just meant we did enter a phase of just like Pixar sequels for the sake of sequels.
I guess just I think that it's fun. Like for me, the 7 years, I don't care. In fact, I'm happy with it because I don't want to be oversaturated with Batman. Yeah. I'm getting Batman. I
agree.
And then you want to make it fast. Yeah. And then when you make it fast, it's bad.
You make it in
so now we have enough time. Yeah. Like just make it good. I'll wait. Like I don't want too much Batman right now. Give me Superman space. When I'm sick of Superman, give me Batman. When I'm sick of Batman, give me someone else.
What I said about like the Batman also for me is like the pace felt weird because they stopped mid-COVID. Right, to like pause the whole thing and then bring it back, and it just kind of felt for me a little disjointed. And I would love like a proper sequel that is like we filmed it all at the same time for the most part, unless it's like a Captain America thing where they like do reshoots for 9 years.
Right. Yeah.
I want the sequel to do well, and I'm okay with it taking its time to do that.
Especially because Matt Reeves is like a filmmaker. Yeah, like he's making a movie for a reason, for a theme. He's trying to like send a message to the world. It's not just entertainment for entertainment's sake. He wants to say something.
Even with the Apes, the 2 Apes movies he did, there was a pretty significant gap. I guess a lot of my frustration comes from, of course, the hype of the first movie, at least for me, but also because this is the third time that it's been pushed back, you know, and in this state of movie making where everything is so fragile or feels fragile just because of how many projects have been, especially by Warner Brothers, that have been like canned or just like, we're just done with this. Yeah. I have faith in James Gunn, especially, just because he is very direct and very vocal about all of this. And I feel like if something wasn't working, he would have just said it already, just for the sake of like, I don't want to keep talking about this. But for me, again, it's just that it's the anticipation, and then like, yes, okay, finally. Next year, I mean, and this is what I'm saying, is like next year, okay, they were supposed to be going into production.
Right.
That's 2025. We're talking about 26, 27 now.
Yeah.
That's a long period of time. But again, that's just like the fanboy anticipation.
No, I know. And the thing is, we live in a culture where it's just over-reporting. Like anytime anybody moves an inch, we're like, did you see this happen?
Did you know
this one person moved to the left?
And guys, be sure to follow us on socials, by the way, okay? Because we love that.
But also because of the rate that Marvel and DC churned out these other superhero movies, I guess there is that kind of level of expectation to where 5 years seems a lot. That's a half decade in perspective. Like, I mean, to a certain point, you might as well be saying, "Oh, a legacy sequel, great," you know?
Yeah,
like Robert Pattinson's.
But I feel like James Gunn's trying to differentiate himself from the MCU, where MCU was on a timeline. Like, we're going to make this no matter what. And Matt Reeves.
Yeah,
it's like we're just going to tell the story when it's time. We're not dictated to a timeline.
Sure.
For Marvel, it worked.
Can I bring back an old segment for a second? Can I bring back Gripes and Grapes?
Okay, yeah.
You guys remember that episode?
Gripes and Grapes.
I got a gripe.
Okay.
And you brought it up a second ago, made me think of this. I actually hate that James Gunn responds to everything.
No! Why do you do that? Why?
I hate that.
Why? He's disproving things.
But can I tell you? Let me tell you why. And it's not so much James Gunn himself. I do, to one hand, like I kind of understand, like, hey, no, guys, this is what we're doing, and then being like engaged with the fans.
What's the problem?
But then there's people, you get on Threads or Twitter or whatever, and people will just start tagging James Gunn, and they kind of demand answers now.
Oh, right.
Where they go,
they're like baiting
where they're like, hey, James Gunn, is it true that blah, 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 because they know James Gunn is going to respond.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of just like, hey, we are not a part of the movie making process.
Oh, like the reporting.
Like, right. You know, let them just make their movie, and the internet can talk the talk, but like, I don't think every little thing needs to be answered. And more so, I just don't think that these creatives are at our beck and call. Like, hey, excuse me, Kevin Feige, why don't you answer my question? I'm on Ed's couch. Why don't you tell me what's going on
with Blade?
With Blade, you
what's
stupid
with
fuck.
Blade?
And you're like, whoa, hang on a second. That's, you know.
No, that's fair.
They're working at a different level. They don't need to... I mean, for the answer to the peon.
For the most part, it was for his movie, though, Superman, which he was directing.
I get it, yeah.
You know what I mean? So now he's talking about Matt Reeves.
But it is like he is accountable for all DCU projects coming out. Like, people... The fact that he even had to make a statement about the recent bump of the date. And, you know, to a certain point, I feel like, say Matt Reeves comes up with a script in January... and they start production.
They might move it up again.
It'll probably be moved up.
They'll greenlight that shit as soon as possible.
Exactly, because if anything, to get the ball rolling on whatever else they have planned for the DCU without feeling bloated or overdone.
Do you guys have any gripes
about Batman coming out late?
Or literally
James Gunn?
I'd love to hear a gripe.
No, I mean, I don't really care about this. I feel like I'm happy with it being delayed.
I'm glad we talked about it.
All right, that's good.
No,
so that's the first segment.
Wait, no, gripes and grapes. Do you have a gripe though?
No.
I can't think of it. I mean, I feel
it doesn't even have to be Batman related.
It could be anything.
Come on, it's the end of your podcast. What was the thing you wanted to bitch about all year?
Is a grape a good thing?
A grape is so we started out with a gripe.
You know what I'm pissed off about? I'm pissed off that the Apple Intelligence fucking sucks. Oh. You ask it one simple question and it says, open the phone, search the web. Why don't you search the web for me? That's your job. Look in the web and you tell me what I need to know, okay? ChatGPT knows. Just open ChatGPT and tell him to answer for me. Because Apple Intelligence, you are terrible. I hate it. I want to ask you one question. What's the weather or something like when the Cowboys play tomorrow? Open the web. Unlock your phone. Just tell me what the answer is.
What was that thing you looked up the other day that you tried to look up how many movies someone made? And they were like, oh, like about 19.
Google!
I know. Like, these, like, AI searches are kind of trash right now.
It's garbage, yeah.
It's not great.
Google and Apple AI kind of fucking sucks.
Oh, he's made like about 20 movies. You're like,
okay.
No, I'm looking for the exact answer.
Number.
You're the internet.
I'm getting my parents onto ChatGPT. Did you know this?
Are they using it?
I went like, let me tell you about ChatGPT. Here I got left, here I got right. They love it because they can talk to it in Spanish.
Oh,
and they can
cool.
ask it any question they want about things that they don't know.
Yeah.
And my mom's having a great time with it.
You mentioned to me recently about how you kind of utilize ChatGPT more than Google now.
Yeah, it's like a Google.
I've started doing that at work. Like, okay, if I have a work question that I'm confused about, I'll just have it open in the side window instead of Google, because Google's just going to hit me with their AI answer. So it's like, if I'm going to get an AI answer, I might as well like go a little bit more in depth.
Yeah.
Try to get like a breakdown or something. Because like ChatGPT, you could be like, now advance further on that thought. Like,
exactly.
And I can kind of prompt you to give me a little clearer of an answer, which I guess is however you look at it. But Google is like, not so much.
No, and it clumps all this misinformation into one paragraph. What's happening over here?
What did they do?
He started getting on his phone like, you guys are just talking now. So that was, Ed, surely you have a gripe. You have like one gripe.
What's one gripe you have?
I feel like humanity is like spiraling with this AI thing. Is like we're getting so caught up in what, mild conveniences or inconveniences we have. It's like, just open your fucking phone and open the maps or the Google.
I think you're bundling a lot of AI stuff into one thing.
Yeah, sure.
You know what I mean? I think the Google AI...
I have no expectations of any of these, is I guess my problem.
I think it's just a fancier way to Google. I don't even think it's like considered AI.
That's so true.
It's
Ed,
just
give us a non-AI gripe. Give us like a true Ed gripe. What do you have? You're like, I would like to be a part of less weddings,
Like, keep the weddings coming. As like,
oh, you like weddings. That's a grape for you, then.
Give me more grapes. Yeah.
You got a grape? Give us a grape.
That was it. More weddings.
We had a kid. That's a pretty good grape.
That's a good grape.
That's a good grape.
It's also a gripe.
Oof.
You're like, can I sleep a little?
I got about like 4 hours last night. We're good. Yeah, I got no gripes. Like this was like, I'm just chilling. Like I didn't.
I'm gonna bring this up later as we start drinking more later. I'm gonna come back. We're gonna do a grapes
because we could do gripes and grapes
throughout the night.
Yeah,
I like that.
All right, keep it in mind. Right. Miguel had a grape. Luis had a grape.
Yeah,
you had a grape.
I had a grape.
So now the next time it'll be grape.
Yeah, surely.
Tune in. We're going to our next location right now.
I wish we would do the podcast this way the entire time.
Driving.
Ed, do you remember that one time we did that Pirates of the Caribbean music and we were dun 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 dun? No, that's Game of Thrones. But you know what I'm talking about?
Well, at least you acknowledge that you got the wrong music.
You know what?
But yes, I do. Yeah, I wish you just enjoyed music scores, man.
Are we live right now?
We're live. We're right here.
Okay.
What's up, everybody? We're back for our second portion of the podcast. We're doing the feature discussion of Nosferatu. We are deeper into the Bad Boys Day. The Bad Boys doing bad boy things
for life.
We hit
God damn, the seatbelt's tight.
We hit up Carbach, and now we're ready to talk about Nosferatu. Right?
That's right.
We saw Nosferatu today at 10:45 a.m. and we were the only ones in the theater.
Pretty late in the day, if you ask me.
Pretty late in the day. Is it okay if I keep that light on?
Oh, hang on. Watch this.
Okay. Now we're lit.
Nope,
This is called
nope.
that doesn't
This
work. Is called cinematography. Everybody, go to youtube.com/@punchdrunknerd for cinematography. Let's go around the corner and just say what do we thought about Nosferatu.
God damn.
Around the corner?
Yeah, around the corner. Let's take a corner right here to the right, left. Go ahead.
Oh man.
You want me to go first? You go first.
You go first.
Okay, I'll go first. You know what? Let me tell you. I'm going to be very honest. When the movie started, I was like, I'm not here for it. But then when we got to the gypsy and the castle, I was here for it. And everything beforehand was worth it. I loved the movie. I'm here for it. I feel like everything that Robert Eggers has done in the past is being presented here in this movie, from The Witch, the Lighthouse, to The Northman. Everything he's learned, he's putting into Nosferatu. And the pacing a little bit took some time. And I think this movie is a little bit more straightforward compared to his past movies. I'm not saying that's a problem. I'm just saying that's like a thing. Am I angry about that? No, I don't think I am angry about that. I think it was an effective movie. I enjoyed it all the way through. Some of the visuals were very shocking, which I expect from a Robert Eggers movie. You expect a lot of naked people. He delivers on that. And he delivers on just historical fear. Living in that past time, it's a scary time. Nosferatu, I had a great time. I liked it. Let's get more into it. Ed, what were your thoughts on this?
I mean, fuck off for having such an elaborate and precise thought already on this movie. Really just kind of agreeing with everything you touched on. I feel like he's kind of working on all of his powers that he's developed over the last all of his movies, basically. It's visually very stunning. I feel like I get the slow start that you're feeling to get pulled into it, but it's really that anticipation of waiting to meet Nosferatu, and I feel like the build up and how they go about handling that character was awesome. Kept me engaged the whole time. I feel like maybe it was a few things that I could have some nitpicks about, but overall I just it's such a weird and true to character kind of film
true to Eggers type of thing.
Yeah, exactly. Just again, leaning fully into the weirdness, not trying to give some sort of satisfying conclusion, but also just leaving you with such vivid imagery that's burned into your skull, especially before we get into spoilers. But the final shot of this film was just it's just lingering. But overall, it was just kind of nerding out with Eggers, kind of him doing his thing, but with something that he's passionate about and something we want to see him do.
He does a very disorienting thing as a director.
Yes.
Where a lot of his stuff is very disorienting, and I think that matches with the time. If you're in the 1800s, 1700s, it's a disorienting time. You're not eating enough, you're in the woods, things just seem weird and hard, and he presents that in a very weird way. Miguel, what did you think about fucking Nosferatu?
Thank you for asking me. Can I just say...
You're like the man in the dark.
Can I just say before we even talk about it, do you guys know, in Inspector Gadget, the bad guy, he's always in the dark?
Yeah.
And he's like, my pretty
Where's
Inspector Gadget with a cat. That's how I feel right now. You can barely see me.
Miguel, turn that light on.
No, I turned it on a second ago. It doesn't look good. It doesn't look good.
No, I don't get us. Okay, hold on.
No, I'd rather you guys be seen.
Okay.
I love this darkness I'm living in
because
it feels very
Nosferatu.
It feels very Nosferatu. Guys, let me lock in for a second. What a shitty movie. No, I definitely did not walk away from this movie going, I loved this movie. Can I tell you guys what the bartender told me before we walked in?
What did he say?
So I asked the bartender, I said, hey, real quick, we're about to go see and which, by the way, I love asking the movie theater bartender, what do you think about this movie before I walk into it? And getting just a little snippet, because they're usually pretty good about I'm not trying to spoil you, but I'll give you a really genuine opinion right away. And I said, hey, real quick, we're about to go see Nosferatu. Can you tell me anything about it? And he goes, a lot of people came into this movie going, this is the movie of the year.
and it's not.
Oh, wow.
And I said, fuck, okay. And then I proceeded to take like 3 naps during this movie. What? So, do I think it was the movie of the year? No. Okay. But Ed asked me pretty like straightforward as soon as we got out. He goes, did you hate this movie? And the answer is no. I had a good time. There were a lot of really good moments in this movie. It is very slow to start. It is very dark. It is hard to watch this movie in a dark, like, reclined seat space.
Yeah.
But a lot of the moments really did hit, especially towards the end. And I had Luis next to me, but I assume Ed was doing the same thing. There was a lot of like, oh, fuck.
I said that out loud in the theaters. I was ashamed.
Yeah, it was. Like, oh, can I talk about the theater experience for a second?
Yeah.
We came into this movie going, there was like 15 other people supposed to be there, or 15 people total. And we were the only people in the theater.
Crazy.
And that was kind of wild that all these people did not show up for the movie. And so we had like a private screening.
Basically, yeah.
Of Nosferatu. So, if I had to give it like out of a 10, I would give it like a 7.
Okay.
Like a 7 out of 10, but I had a good time. I did fall asleep at one point, but there were some moments where I was like, fuck, that was scary.
I think this movie was a little bit overhyped. And it's so funny. I was thinking about it as I was watching it, which is like, you want to get people excited for your movie, but you don't want to get them too overexcited for your movie.
Yeah.
I feel like Nosferatu was a movie where people got very overly excited, the same way they got overexcited about Oppenheimer and Barbie.
Yeah.
Like, this was this year's kind of like equivalent of that, where people were really high expectations of Nosferatu.
Yeah.
And
I think a big part of it comes down to marketing. Is one of the things I noticed, especially with Nosferatu, is obviously it's like a Focus Features, right, and Universal, yeah, production. So the marketing, especially on social media, has been like through the roof, which is unlike anything that Eggers has had in his previous movies. But at the same time, that is like predisposing people to think of a more like mainstream approach to where this is actually just like a high budget Robert Eggers film that, like I said, is weird. It leans into the occult and the weirdness and the sexuality and the unsettling nature of this story, as opposed to it's just like a basic vampire story.
But it also is the most straightforward Robert Eggers movie 100%. You've ever seen.
Yeah. Yes. But again, just like still that kind of weirdness that
that uncomfortableness
that
you get from
he loves just uncomfortable.
He loves naked people, dirty ass naked old people.
Yeah, or you know just like in this case rotting, you know. But it's cool in that sense. It just like makes him more of a kind of exciting director. It's like he did 100%, like he stayed true to himself in that sense. But I found it entertaining. I don't think it was like as I don't know, maybe like jump scary or shocking as the trailer or marketing would have made it seem.
The vibe was more scary than the jump scares.
Exactly. Like the creeping sense instead of the shocking. Which is fine because that is again just like Robert Eggers. I feel like there are just the more nitpicky things I have were maybe just generally, specifically with Aaron Taylor Johnson.
Oh, yes.
Oh, can we talk about that for a second?
Let's talk about it.
Because I know you clipped out that shot last week or whatever, where it was like, I was pro Aaron Taylor Johnson. Right. And I think I am for the most part, okay? I like him. Guys, he's good looking. He's a good actor. He can show up and bless you. No, and fuck you. No, don't do it again.
Do it right in the mic. I'm trying to
just think that in this particular movie, for some reason, Aaron Taylor Johnson really stood out for me in a negative way.
Yeah.
Like, he just kind of felt like I'm
out of place.
Like, I'm acting the beats, but it just didn't quite feel genuine, especially because everyone else just felt so tuned in to the performance.
I feel like you could have done any, and I don't mean to say lesser, but just like any kind of unknown actor to play that role.
Oh, 100%.
And still probably had a better effect.
I do think he was having fun with it because, like, Luis had a couple moments where he laughed at what he was doing, and I think he was kind of like playing at a joke.
Well, I don't know if yeah.
But I just feel like in general, he didn't, as far as the rest of the cast, didn't quite fit what was going on. But I'm still very pro Aaron Taylor Johnson, okay? Because I've seen movies that he does well in. So I loved Kraven the Hunter. I'm going to see it so many times this holiday season.
Come on.
Next James Bond for sure, right?
Okay, don't rile me up, all right? But that was really like, as far as like acting goes, I did come into it going, I wasn't sure about Lily Rose Depp.
Yeah.
But she had some really standout moments that I thought she was doing kind of on par with the rest of the film. She was kind of like playing a neutral one-note moment until it was time to shine, you know?
Yeah.
And I feel like that's kind of what the movie was doing.
I did
building until it was time to lock in.
It felt, and all the more disturbing when it did happen.
Yeah.
Because building up to that, it felt more just like standard, traditional... but I felt like everybody was playing the same thing. You know, it's very dramatic, very old-fashioned kind of characters. But then, like, something really just kind of horrific is taking over each of them.
It wasn't until like the last 20 or so minutes that I was like, oh, everyone's locked in right now.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. It's like a slow unravel, but once it does start, like with the plague, the ship crashing, and then like Aaron Taylor Johnson's wife. God, I'm annoyed that I'm dropping her name right now.
Oh yeah. No,
did you guys know that she
Emma
was
Corrin?
She was the Deadpool and Wolverine. She was the bad guy in that,
and she played Princess Diana.
Oh my God, that is her.
That's her.
Whoa,
yes.
okay.
She was. I had to look her up. I know you guys don't like this, but I had to get on my phone in the middle of the movie to look that up.
I didn't see that. I was like, it's okay.
Who is this person?
She also played Princess Di, guys, in The Crown. In season 4.
You know who I thought it was at first? Was from Euphoria, the Hunter Schafer.
Oh, okay.
Do you guys know what I'm talking about?
Cuckoo? Yeah.
That's who I thought it was at first, and that's why I Googled it, because I was like, is that Hunter Schafer? And I was like, oh, no, it's the girl from Deadpool and Wolverine.
Wow, I can't believe it's the same person.
Stop.
I really can't.
They look alike.
But yeah, I thought there was like a certain degree of theatricality to it.
Oh, 1,000%.
I felt like
you gotta have theatricality with Robert Eggers.
It felt like reading an old book, like a dusty old book. Like that's how the characters.
That's how the pacing unfolded itself too, where it's like, hey, we're gonna have a little bit of a slow start. Thank you very much. A little bit of a slow start, and then everything's gonna unfold after that. And I feel like once we got to the castle, once we hit the gypsies, things started to pick up a little bit.
Yeah.
And I appreciated. I did appreciate that a little bit of a slow start, because we're just so used to a more fast-paced thing in like typical.
Based on what you just said, when did the slow start stop? Well, like
I think for me, once we got to the actual castle, I got like, all right, I'm ready to lock.
Wow, that's kind of crazy, because I felt like even in the beginning there were big moments that were the slow start. Him in the castle, him in the gypsies, him in the castle. I felt like those were like the introductory slow moments. It wasn't until they started to bleed all of the characters together that it really took off.
Right. I mean, the thing is, what he's doing is he's establishing a lot of stuff. Like at the very beginning of the movie, you see a ton of people. You see Nicholas Hoult wading through a bunch of fucking shit people. And then at the end of the movie, you have nobody.
Yeah.
And so you have to have that comparison. And then you hit that gypsy place where it's like, here is this young, innocent, virgin woman going through the woods, and we're doing this ritual that we're here to protect her. She is our focal point, and she's important. On the other side, we have Lily Depp, who also probably has the same like cosmic features as this virgin does. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a comparison of two different social groups. One group praises this woman who is like dealing with like cosmic attitudes, the gypsies.
Yep.
They protect her. And then Lily Rose Depp, she lives in a modern world where no one cares. Remember Willem Dafoe? He was like, it's unfortunate because you grew up in a world where no one could appreciate you.
Yeah, he tells her, like, in another time, you would have done really well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that's the tragic part of it all, is like, in another time, she would have done well. but she didn't. And so what did she do? She called upon the fucking devil Nosferatu.
Wow.
And all of that fucking unfolds.
That very first scene where she does that, I feel like that's something I need to kind of revisit one more time, because that's how the movie opens. And she later tells, what's up? I'm in the light now. No, hey guys, it's me in the podcast. Like and subscribe. She talks about it later, how like I reached out to this because I needed something. And it didn't quite feel like that in the moment. So I feel like on a revisit, you'll kind of pick up on that a little bit more. And she was pretty good, you know, for a Nepo baby. I came into it going, no offense. I came into it going, I don't think I'm gonna like you.
Yeah.
But she had a lot of really great moments, especially there was a scene we all talked about earlier where she like has her first like. She's already been like connected to Nosferatu, but she has this like moment where she gets kind of like a zombie, gets infected by it, and she has this very the physicality of that scene was so good.
So she tore down like a bookcase, and she was like going like
and she's doing something that she's not been doing. She's been kind of stoic the entire time, and then she like kind of like spazzes out.
That fucked up smile she gives that
feels like very much like The Exorcist. Like I got a little bit of taste of that.
And the way that Nicholas Holt's character responds to her before the moment, he's kind of taken aback. He's scared. He wants to bring someone else in. He's already by that point in the movie already had his kind of like scare with the devil.
Yeah.
You know? And so the fact that she's acting this way, he's like, hey, let me step away. Let me get someone else to come do this. And she kind of like locks him in even further. There are moments in this movie that are like, whoa, fuck, I'm paying attention to what's going on. But it is, I think, a pacing issue for me personally that sometimes I'm like, let me check out for a minute until it happens.
I think it paces itself like a book a little bit, but it still has that striking visuals that Robert Eggers typically delivers.
I love the whole build-up to getting to the castle, personally. I thought the transition from city life back then and then going into the mountains and just that the imagery of him walking up to the castle and then the carriage coming to meet him. I love that whole sequence.
When he walked up to the like gypsy village for the first time and they all started laughing at him, I was kind of like, why are you wearing that dumbass hat right now, dude? Like, I'd be laughing at you too, goofball.
Yeah.
Because they're all in a whole different vibe, right? Like they live in this world with Nosferatu every day, and here you are, the foreigner coming in. Well, that's not bad, but you know what I'm saying. That's what they were talking about. It's like, you're coming in and you don't know what you're walking into. And I liked the way that we were talking about how Robert Eggers has like played with comedy as he's gotten more into it, and I feel like that was a funny moment for me.
Yeah,
I was like, everyone is laughing at you. You look a little silly. You look a little out of place.
Yeah, it's a contrast to the two different societies, the two different norms. You know how funny that could be.
Yo, and can we talk for a second about how like on paper he was there to like rent him a new house when he moves to the city, and Nosferatu was like, I can't wait to be neighbors. And I was like, that's so nice. That's like baking brownies for your next door new neighbor. Oh, but by the way, he brings the plague when he shows up, so it's like that wasn't great.
You know what I liked? I liked how like when I didn't like that Hiroshima happened, but like in Japan when Hiroshima happened, they were able to kind of put that in the shape of Godzilla. Like Godzilla came in, destroyed society.
This was
before like the bubonic plague comes in.
No, absolutely.
And it's just like for us to really grasp it, it's very difficult. And so it must have been sort of like a cult.
This was like a tangible way of like representing the plague.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. That's such a good point. Because they were very clear about that, but it was like so much was going on. Like they would be like, oh, the plague has overtaken me, and then they would have like a rash on their neck. And it's like, well, it's not really the plague. That's like the cover of it all.
Right.
Yeah, no, that was a good moment.
No, I think like all Robert Eggers stuff, it's always like a tragedy. It's somebody like unfortunately got dealt with the wrong hand or forced to live a certain way. And in the end, Lily Rose Depp, if she was in another society, she would have been okay. But like, unfortunately, she's in this society. And she was depressed, and she made a deal with the devil, and she had to fucking kill. Like, she had to sacrifice herself. she had to own up to, I don't know, the difficulty she had. And in the end, she fucking died.
Can I tell you, that's how it ended, but what I thought was going to happen was that Nosferatu was just going to get away with it all, and they were just going to be like, and that's the ending, that no matter what you do,
it's always
like shitty things happen in life. And I was like, fuck, that's going to be pretty heavy when we get there. But I did like that they gave it kind of like a wrapped up ending.
There was some closure.
It's not necessarily like good for everyone.
Right. It's a little depressing and sad and tragic, but it landed visually anyway. It was like such intensity, but also like weirdly he pulls you into the beauty of it too.
Well, because all these things would happen, like it was very sexual also. Like every time Nosferatu would, besides maybe like the Nicholas Hoult moment, it was very much like, is this pleasurable or is this painful? Mm-hmm. And then you like see the final outcome and you're like, no, it seemed pretty fucked up. That's really just what I want to take away from this. And I did like that there was a moment right at the end where she was like, no, just keep going. Just go. We're already here. Just go ahead and keep devouring
near
me.
the end, right?
Yeah. And he started, because it was like he started to look at the sun and go, I should move. I should get away from here. And she was like, no, because that was her sacrifice, right? She was like, no, just stay. Like, we're going to wrap this up. We're going to...
Have you guys seen that Netflix show, not the House of... or the Haunting of Hill House, but there was the one with the vampire.
Midnight Mass?
Midnight Mass, thank you. They did... Have you?
I've seen it. I've seen Midnight Mass,
they do a similar thing with that when... I mean, I guess it is the same story, almost. But the woman in that show, she, like, the one last thing is to prevent the vampire or creature leaving the island is by, like, sacrificing herself. And, like, at one point he does see the sun and, anyway, does the same exact thing. But it's so unsettling. But, there's that just, like, acceptance of it. But it is such a kind of sensual thing in itself, like sucking somebody's blood, either throat or in this movie, specifically in the chest.
I like that they did the chest, not the neck this time. I mean, there's a moment when they were kind of connecting and he did the neck, but then he moved to the chest.
Yeah.
And it's like, yes, let's go to the source of where all the blood comes from, the heart.
Right, the heart.
And so you're pumping right from the heart. And it just, a lot of things in this movie, because you were complaining how it took you a while to adjust to the Nosferatu look. But, like the guy he had a very Germanic look. He had a mustache. I think all of it felt very, at least attempting to be very grounded and mystical.
No, 100%. And it wasn't like I was put off by it. It was such just like an interesting choice.
Yeah.
Like aesthetically. But I like, again, that it goes against what we've come to expect, which is kind of like the cartoony version of Nosferatu, which is like the pointed collar, the pointed ears, super pale, pointed nose, and pointy teeth kind of thing. Like everything a stereotypical vampire looks like. And there wasn't like so much emphasis on that. Like you barely like get much of a glimpse of his teeth. Only just like in like certain scenes. His hands were more of the striking visual in this film, which I loved. I loved every moment that they had the shadow crawling up like the hallway or the town, whatever. It was so good.
I'm glad that they were able to like, listen, he's Nosferatu, he's going to drink blood, and he does. Like, we weren't going to just like imply that he does that.
Yeah.
We really see him do that with Nicholas Hoult, that wide shot. We see him suck the blood out of those kids.
Yep.
And we see it happen with...
And that was more like the throat.
That was more the throat, yes. That was more the throat. But I was happy to at least like, hey, because someone with Robert Eggers, he can imply a lot of things that could have happened.
Yeah.
But we actually got to see a vampire like doing what he does. And I think that's, I don't know. That is satisfying because it, I don't know. At the core of it, we do want to see that, right?
Yes.
I mean, you do want
that's the essence of any monster movie is you want to see the monster doing what he does. Same with, Miguel mentioned Godzilla. But like Frankenstein, Dracula,
Yeah.
the Wolfman. You want to see these creatures. That's what you kind of come out to see. Don't exploit it, don't like cartoon it, whatever. But let that character unfold, and like that's the wonderful thing about films is like we're seeing these things come to life, and seeing I was so excited and nervous about seeing what they did with this look of this character, which again is so iconic in so many ways. Tiptoeing around every corner of the internet, afraid of what people are going to post. So I'm glad I avoided all of that because it helped build to the anticipation. I'm glad, as far as I'm aware, that in the trailers they never showed too much. I feel like, but yeah.
So I started to ask earlier. Can I ask it now?
No.
We've seen all the Robert Eggers movies between us. We've seen them all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do we have a ranking?
Yeah.
Do you have a ranking? I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Do you have a ranking? I've been thinking about this all day, actually. Where would I put this in comparison with his other films?
Can we just real quick just list what the films are one more time?
Okay, so it started with The Witch, followed by The Lighthouse, followed by The Northman, followed by Nosferatu.
Wow. That's a short list.
But a pretty solid list.
Sure.
Right? I mean, Miguel, you've seen how many?
2 out of the 4. So my list, it would be pretty simple, right? Like the 2 movies I haven't seen at the bottom.
Right.
And then it comes down to The Witch and Nosferatu. I would say I paid more attention to The Witch.
Okay.
So I would probably put that number 1, Nosferatu number 2. Really great moments. I love the director, love the cast because there's some repeats. And would I watch these other 2 movies? Yeah, at this point, I might as well.
Cool. Luis?
Thanks for talking to me.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I guess the thing that I would automatically say would probably be The Witch would be probably near the top.
Wow.
And it's crazy to say that because I know he feels like he's made some mistakes making The Witch, and he's every time I make a movie, I'm learning and I'm adapting and getting better. And I think there's just something about, it's always hard to say, but those first couple movies when they're scrappy and they're working through it, I think that The Witch is very economically done and is effective and isn't doing too much. I think that's my number 1. But as far as the other ones go, that's really hard to say where everyone's kind of placed. I think all of his movies are really good. So even a 4th ranked movie is not a bad ranked movie.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, one's The Witch, I guess. I mean, you know what? I guess, shit. I don't know. I guess right now, I would say I will put it in the order that he made things. 1, The Witch, 2, The Lighthouse.
Okay.
3 would possibly be...
Well, it would be the toss-up here.
The Northman and the Nosferatu, that's really hard to say right now. I guess... maybe Northman and then Nosferatu.
Wow. So in order.
In order of release, which I don't always... A part of me doesn't want that. I want them to get better. I want their last movie to always be the better movie.
Sure.
Yeah. So I do see that part of me wanting to give points to the later movie. It's also hard because of recency bias.
Man,
don't lock into me on this. I may watch all these movies again and then have.
You're making a deal with the devil right now as you speak.
I really am.
Yeah.
But if gun to my head, I guess that's what I would have to be.
Okay.
I just real quick, and I want you to answer the ranking. I read something earlier today that I wanted to bring up, where someone talked about recency bias, where Matt Damon made some comment where he was like, "I wish the Oscars would happen 5 years after the movie came out.
Yeah, no, seriously.
Delay the Oscars by that many years so that every movie they review has had time to say." And they go, because would you have given Bohemian Rhapsody the Oscar that year? Or would we have waited a few years and looked back on it with time?
For example, Zero Dark 30 won Best Academy Award film. Does that movie...
Do we talk about that today?
It didn't win Best Picture. It won Best Director.
Yeah.
For Catherine Bigelow, right?
No, it didn't, actually.
Wait,
hey, but Ed, you get the vibe we're talking about.
What did I just... Hurt Locker.
Actually...
Zero Dark 30,
Hurt Locker, he's
right. That did win Best Picture.
That won Best Picture. Hurt Locker won Best Picture. Yes. But does it deserve to be the Best Picture of that year?
Exactly.
Yeah, right. That's always the question. And that was 2000. I mean, we got to remember how long. I don't remember.
The fun thing about a segue is we don't have to get super deep into it.
No, I'm sorry.
Me and Ed were like, well, let's figure out the answer.
I was like, yeah, okay, all right. That was my contribution to this. Ed.
Yes.
You're going to rank them.
Okay. I think I do have a good answer.
All right, go.
My fourth would be The Northman, and I do have a reason to that. Third, as of now, again, because of the recent effect, I would say maybe Nosferatu. Then The Lighthouse, which I feel like it is a toss-up between those two. And then number one, I am still locked in at The Witch, which was such an influential movie for me as far as like getting me into this kind of horror film.
Yeah.
And The Northman, lastly, only because I did watch it again recently, and I do enjoy it. I love kind of just like, again, the theatricality of it, but also the weirdness of it. I love how just much he delves into detail and historical accuracy, because it adds so much more to it, just like the realism of it. But The Northman, I would say, it just has like the less appealing protagonist. Not that Amleth, the Bill or Alexander Skarsgård character, is not like an intriguing character, but it's a revenge story, and that's mostly what it boils down to. But he's not as interesting or endearing as Anya Taylor-Joy's character, Thomason, in The Witch.
That's true. Yeah.
Or either Robert Pattinson or Willem Dafoe's characters in The Lighthouse. Again, I'm speaking for myself. And then equally you have Nicholas Hoult's character in this film, but specifically Lily Rose Depp, who kind of really pulls you in to this story. Those are the stakes.
I think that's what's really hard about. I think that's why I had difficulty with it too. It's just like The Northman and Nosferatu. It's very hard to place one against the other. And hearing you talk, I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. Let's put Nosferatu before Northman, because I think I just have to rewatch them myself.
Yeah, I can't wait to see Nosferatu again.
Points about it,
Yeah. And because you're on all sides, you're dealing with like really shitty characters.
Yeah.
People who aren't your typical hero or heroine or villain, for that matter. You guys might be wondering where I'm driving. I have no idea.
I was wondering too.
This is good. Where are we going? While you figure that out, I'm going to segue to this moment. We're going to do a Grapes and Gripes, okay?
Part 2.
A Gripes and Grapes, Part 2. We're in the car right now. If you guys are watching on YouTube, we're in the car. All right? Yeah. We're doing a boys' day. We're doing kind of like an interactive podcast tonight. We're going places.
Yeah.
You guys really liked our last year one. We're doing something different this year. So we're talking about gripes. We're talking about grapes.
Yes.
What's your favorite variety of grape?
Ed, you were talking about something you wanted to hate this year.
Oh.
Let's hear it.
About this year specifically?
Yeah.
Yes.
And this is why we don't throw things to you.
Yeah. I'm a real swing killer. Come back to me, yeah?
You know, one of the things I like this year, my grape of the year.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Did you guys see that lemon chicken orzo recipe?
Oh, hell yeah.
On Instagram and TikTok?
Yeah.
Did you guys see that this year?
Sure.
Luis?
I saw a variation
I don't think I did. No.
Do you guys remember a couple of years ago when it was the tomato, the cherry tomato and the feta cheese on pasta, one pot meal? Do you guys remember that?
I guess I just missed out on the food.
You guys don't talk about. You guys don't watch the foodie videos.
No, I don't
This lemon orzo chicken.
You.
I mean, I do, but I've seen a million of those recipes of.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm surprised you guys didn't see that. You know what I mean?
I don't think there's just one specific video of it.
Sure. But the recipe itself.
Sure,
it was hot this year.
No, yeah.
And it was hot a couple years ago with that cherry tomato and the feta thing. It was like a Boursin cheese and like that little thing.
Yeah, Miguel, I believe you. That's right.
Sorry. My gripe actually is you don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. No, I didn't have a grape. You want to know that? I pulled it out of my ass. I was watching that TikTok video earlier, and I was like, damn, that looks good. I love a lemon chicken dish. I love orzo because I love like a ricey grain, you know?
Yeah.
Is there like a foodie video that you're like, oh, I would make that? Anyone?
So many.
Oh my god!
Really? Every time I come across a recipe, I send it to Sarah, basically, and her likewise. Like we say, like, oh, we could do that. Send it to one.
Have you made any of the ones that you've sent to each other?
Yeah, sure.
Really? Which
I mean, I've made them mostly. It's like, and that's not me bashing Sarah. Like, she'll send me stuff that she does try, but generally, like,
what are some examples of the ones that you?
So there was like the scalloped potato one with smoked salmon on top.
Yes, sir.
So basically, it's you soak some thinly sliced golden potatoes in butter and Parmesan.
You must have a good knife for that.
Yeah.
You also must live a good life for
a little
that.
mandolin.
Oh man.
And then you place it in. I used a cast iron skillet with some with a baking sheet, and you just like layer it with more butter and Parmesan all the way to the top. Cover it with parchment paper. And bake it until it's tender and golden brown, and then you just put sliced smoked salmon on top with capers and dill and the sour cream or creme fraiche.
Yes.
We had it last year for Christmas or Boxing Day morning, and it was just fucking incredible. Obviously, it's a lot of butter, a lot of garlic, a lot of cheese, but I mean, it was worth every calorie, I guess, or however you want to look at it, but it was really good.
Do you celebrate Boxing Day a lot? Is that like
I say it's a day that's sacred to me. Like, I don't want to go back to fucking work the day after Christmas.
No,
like Boxing Day has always just been a day that we've held, not for any significant reason other than.
Are you able to go to your work and be like, "Hey, Boxing Day is respectful"?
No, just like I'm not going to be here on this day. Yeah. I'm like. It is. I have worked after Christmas. I've worked on Christmas Day. It's just depressing to me, but it happens.
Wow.
And that's your gripe. That's
we went on a journey there. You know what? Yeah, that is a gripe. I feel like this country should respect holidays more. There you go.
There you go. Let us know what your gripe is. Go down to the comments below.
Grapes.
Write down, this is my gripe, this is my grape. And, we'll respond. This was the Nosferatu talk.
I love that.
Yeah. And now we're going to our next location starting now. And we're back here in a parking lot right now. This is our third and final visit, guys.
Why?
This is our third final segment of the podcast, and usually it's what we're into. What have you been into? I've been into Squid Games.
You've been watching so much Squid Games. In fact, the fact you bring it up now and it makes me mad.
Why?
You've done it so much lately.
It's literally the past 2 days.
It's the only thing you're talking about.
I'm into it.
Squid
Games. Squid Games is probably the top.
I will say it's
you had never seen it?
No.
What's the vibe?
I love it. No. 3 days ago, literally 3 days ago, my in-laws were like, "Hey, let's watch season 2," and I'm like, "I haven't seen season 1," and they're like, "We don't give a fuck. We're gonna watch season 2."
Bye.
And I'm like, I don't like that vibe. So while they're watching season 2, I was in the back with my iPad with my AirPods Pro 2 watching season 1. And then I watched all of season 1 in a matter of like a day and a half. And then I'm on season 2 right now.
Yep.
I have 2 episodes left. And let me tell you, I love the pacing, love the directing. I think it's one of the top 3 shows of Netflix. And I think Netflix has been, if Netflix only came to make Squid Games, I'm here for it. Squid Games to Netflix is the Andor of Disney Plus.
Ooh.
That's what I'm going to say.
Fuck.
How do you feel about the David Fincher American version?
There's a David Fincher American version coming out?
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't like that. I don't think I think it's unnecessary. I think it's a waste of time and a waste of energy.
I don't like that David Fincher's doing it because we wanted Mindhunters.
Yeah, I think David Fincher could be doing other things besides recreating Squid Games, which is already like a success in its own.
Well, he already did the girl with a dragon tattoo kind of.
He keeps recreating stuff he doesn't need to be doing. Like, let's get down to some good stuff. So Squid Game's good. Season 1, I really like. Season 2, actually, now that I'm watching it, it's like, ooh, we're doing a lot in one season. Maybe we should just stick to a couple of little things, but still very good. Okay, I'm done.
Cool.
What are you guys going into?
Ed? Let's
I saw.
Let's cycle in and we just push. We just start moving around.
Me and Sarah started watching, the latest season of Queer Eye, which is taking place on
Queer Eye. They're still doing that show.
I got a gripe already.
Queer Eye. I can't believe they're still doing that show. Okay, we're back.
And then I watched Bajura #2.
I watched that too.
The second one.
The second one. The sequel. The long-awaited Clint Eastwood sequel.
I watched it too.
I don't like.
You haven't watched it?
No, I haven't. I'm sorry, I've been busy.
You haven't watched it?
You haven't watched it? No, I've been busy.
And then, you know what? I will mention this one because it's the holidays. I watched Netflix's Carry On.
I want to see that.
Which, starring Taron Egerton and Jason Bateman. The less you know, the better it is. But it's like a fun little holiday action film.
I've been trying to get my in-laws to watch, and they're like, I don't want to see that. I'm about to board a plane.
Every in-law / partner, whatever, just like anybody who's doing this or enjoys that kind of movie, they could do this.
I think so.
Movie. Yeah. It's like short, sweet, fun. It's well done, and everybody's on point.
I was going to ask you, like, does this feel like a very TBS, TNT type of movie where it's
like 100% this would have been a movie in the theaters, and then it's just been on cable TV all the time. That's what I mean. Yeah. It's that kind of action.
You set him up, and he went higher than that. He was like, "This would be a movie."
And 20 years ago, this would have been that movie because it does feel very reminiscent of
Die Hard.
The 90s, yeah. I said, because everything after Die Hard, the first one is balls. And
Die Hard 2 was about the children.
I think 3
Die Hard 2 was in the airport.
Oh, okay, I forgot.
And
Die Hard 3 was Samuel Jackson.
Carry On actually happens in an airport. That's why I make the comparison. But basically, it is like a Die Hard film, but it's better than every one of those films after the first one.
Okay.
But yeah, it's fun, like genuinely good action, and the guy directing it knows exactly what he's doing. And shout out to that guy.
All right, Carry On. Check it out on Netflix. 2 Netflix things. If you have a Netflix account, you can watch Squid Games and Carry On.
Yeah.
Do you have a Netflix show?
I've actually got a Netflix show. You guys want to lock in for a second? We're talking about. Let's move around. Boom, boom. Who lets us do this fucking? You know that meme where they give 3 white guys a mic?
Yeah.
Why do we keep doing this? Okay.
In the parking lot.
Yeah, stand here so you're blocking the moon just slightly.
Okay. Look at you. You look like a fucking angel. Okay, Miguel, go.
So I've been watching a new Netflix show. No, it's you guys. I've heard it. You guys heard me talk about it. Oh my god, I'm sorry. I've been drinking so much. I'm not driving. I'm not gonna...
Outlander.
Okay.
Outlander.
Yeah, that's good. I like that. He was like, "You're talking about Outlander." Go ahead. No, I've been watching Outlander on Netflix. It's a Showtime show. It's so good. We're in season 2.
It's a Star show.
Stars. That's
yes,
what I meant.
Okay, sorry.
Okay.
I come on the defense.
And it's it's good. Let's wrap this up. It's a good show.
It's a good composition too.
Hang on, wait. Yeah, right. Bye.
Look at all those lonely. Bye. You just barely spoke about Outlander.
You guys like how I did that? I gave you that to you, though. I gave that to you.
Wait, hold on. No. Hold on. That's too soon. Where are you at Outlander?
Sorry.
Just say where.
Okay. All right. No, it's a good time. We're season 2, halfway through season 2 right now. I mentioned it before. She traveled back in time. Stand in front of that moon for me one more time.
Thank you.
It's a lamp. It's a lamp.
It's a light. Having a great time with it. It's really good. I've talked to several moms about it. I talked to Luis's mom.
Yep.
Ed's mom is into it. Yep. My wife is a mom. She's into it.
Only moms.
Only moms. Let's take on.
I like that you're into it, though. I feel like
it's a good show. Yeah. No, we're having a good time. She goes back into time, and apparently that's the thing that everyone loves about it. Is going back in time.
Season 2? Are you still in season 2, or where are you?
Yeah. I got all the way through season 2, episode 6, and there's 7 seasons out right now. So we're still going, you guys.
All right. Well, tune in when Miguel gets deeper into Outlander. But until then, it's been me live with Miguel Sanchez and Ed Ball. I mean, Luis Gonzalez.